Channel, and if you've been following me for a while,
Starfield.
you know that Starfield is a game that I've been thinking about quite a lot. I love BGS
Me
games,
too.
and I've been following Starfield since the trademark was first.
يا متى نزلت الستارفيلد؟ يعني متى أول مرة سمعنا عنها؟ أعتقد قبل 9 يمكن 10 سنوات.
Discovered 10 years ago. So to think that we are less than
Yep,
3
10
months
years
away
ago.
from the global launch is absolutely crazy to me. Today we're going to discuss
3 أشهر بتنزل الجيمة، ما باقي كثير. ترى اللعبة اكسكلوسيف لمايكروسوفت، لأن مايكروسوفت اشترت باثيسدا فصارت الجيم اكسكلوسيف تبعهم. يعني ما راح تكون على البلاي ستيشن، بس أكيد راح تكون على البي سي.
some of Starfield's biggest secrets because like most Bethesda games, there is a lot of unknown. And for a game as vast as Starfield, it's an absurd thing to consider how little we know about the game. Well, lucky for you guys, we just got some exciting gameplay updates and huge details from the man himself, Todd Howard, the director of Starfield.
The man
now,
himself,
in a recent interview
Todd
with
Howard.
Games Xcast, Todd Howard gave us a ton of new information, so let's just cut to the chase. Can you fish in Starfield, and can Vasco wear a hat? Well, the simple answer is no, so rip the dream of a 90 Metacritic score.
يعني وين راح تصطاد؟ ما فهمت يا اخي. يعني الجيم راح تكون بالفضاء، وايش راح تصطاد اصلا؟ حتى لو يعني في هيك بحيرات وبحور في الكواكب.
Jokes aside, let's start off the discussion with a controversial fact, which according to Todd
عم
Howard,
يمزح
only
هو.
10% of planets in Starfield will contain life. Now, this of course has sparked quite a
ويت، فقط 10% من الكواكب في ستارفيلد اللي راح يكون فيها حياة. ما قالوا انه راح يكون في اكثر من 3000 كوكب بالجيم كله. 10% يعني فقط 300 من الكواكب اللي راح يكون فيها حياة. يعني 90% من الباقي ايش راح نسوي؟ يعني ليش راح اروح الكوكب اذا ما فيه اللايف؟ عشان الريسورسز 90% كثير.
a bit of debate amongst fans of the game, and even added some fuel to the fire for some naysayers. But I personally think this is a positive, as their goal with Starfield was to create
نوما
a
سكاي
realistic
يعني
structure to each
نوما
star
سكاي
system.
تقريبا
Rather
كل
than every
كواكب
planet
فيها
having
حياة.
life, they took the realistic approach. Todd mentions the Goldilocks zones, or rather habitable zones, which is basically the range of distance with the right temperatures for water to remain liquid. Now, it's undeniable that life is rare.
يب، يعني شي حلو سووه في ستارفيلد، يعني خلوا السولار سيستمز والجالاكسيز وهيك، يعني خلوا نظام الحياة شوي واقعي. يعني الآن إذا كان الكوكب بعيد عن الشمس ما راح يكون في ماء، لأنه راح يكون كل شي فروزن مجمد. إذا كان كثير قريب من الشمس الكوكب الماء بيتبخر، فيعني عشان يكون في حياة في الكوكب لازم ماء، فلازم الكوكب يكون بمسافة مناسبة، يعني يكون قريب بس مو كثير بعيد من الشمس.
Or at least to us it's rare, so them limiting the amount of life on systems is a good thing. This gives them the ability to handcraft the biosphere of each system or planet that can support life. Todd then went on to address the concern of having planets that are barren wastelands, which was another big criticism that people had from the trailers and the gameplay
يب
demonstration.
أكيد، قالوا أنه راح يكون فيها أكبر مدينة في تاريخ الجيمين، يعني المين هاب، المدينة راح يكون في كوكب فيه مدينة، وهاي المدينة راح تكون كثير كبيرة يعني.
He responded this, which I thought was perfect. I think it's a moment when you land on some of these barren planets, and again we will generate certain things for you to find on them, but if you look at a planet and see the resources it has, and those might be things that you want there. And he said, I love the Buzz Aldrin quote, the magnificent desolation. I think there's a certain beauty to landing on a barren wasteland and feeling like you were the only person to ever visit this planet. So they actually considered that throughout the development process. Whenever you get to a new system or a new planet, you can actually scan it first and go to your star map and see what that planet has. So whether that's life or just barren wasteland, you know what you're getting into before you land. So it's a choice to go on planets with and without life. Now, in my opinion, 1 out of 1,000 planets having life is amazing, especially when you consider that we don't even know for a fact that there's life in our universe outside of Earth. Now, granted, it is statistically impossible that we are the only ones out there, but you can kind of see my point. I'll take 10% of 1,000 planets having life over the No Man's Sky approach of nearly every single planet containing some sort of life. I think there's a way of doing both. Now, No Man's Sky planets do have procedural generation in terms of the wildlife, but with that game having an infinite galaxy, you're almost guaranteed to come across different animals and plants that are pretty much the same. Now, whenever you land on a planet, there is a possibility of some planets only having one biome, and there's other planets that will have multiple per planet. So similar to how Minecraft stitches together the various biomes, Starfield is going to do the same thing. Also, one of my requests
يعني كوكب واحد يقدر يكون فيه مناخ متعدد، باينز متعدد، يعني مثلا تلقى فيه بحر وغابات استوائية وصحراء إلى آخره.
Is a full ocean planet similar to Interstellar, and it better be named Miller to pay homage to the Miller planet from Interstellar. You know, the one with the big wave that's in the same system as Gargantua.
اللي ما تفرج انترستيلر روح تفرج انترستيلر.
Now, speaking of crazy stuff that's going to happen on planets, we got some confirmation that planets will have extreme weather as well as other hazardous conditions. So you will need to modify your suit before you go into the atmosphere, or else you'll get hit with, like, let's say radiation, extreme heat, stuff like that. That's not to say that you can't land on them.
يعني في بعض الكواكب راح تكون كثير خطيرة، مثلا راح يكون فيها راديشن، يمكن يكون التمبرتشرز كثير لو، يعني كوكب كثير بارد او كثير حار، على حسب المناخ لازم تعدل على السوت تبعك، البدلة اللي بتنزل فيها يعني عشان تكون مقاومة لهذاك المناخ اللي في الكوكب.
But you'll have a bad time if you try to go out and explore if you've not properly prepared. There's also going to be dust storms, I'm guessing acid rain and other stuff like that. Now, another gameplay aspect that we got confirmed by Todd Howard is whenever you land on a planet and you want to move around quicker, no, there's not going to be a rover or any mounts like that. You can't mount creatures, but they do give you a boost pack to traverse around the planets quicker. Todd said that this was a really fun thing to do. You could also fast travel to
بس مو حلو. اوكي، قال لما ننزل على كوكب خلاص، يعني بننزل من الشيب تبعنا، ما راح يكون في وسيلة للتنقل من غير الجيت باك تبعنا اللي بتكون في ظهرنا، يعني ما في ماونتس، ما في دراجات او مدري هيك، هذوك الكرافت تبع يعني ما في اي شيء للتنقل من غير الجيت باك. هذا شيء مو حلو صراحة.
your ship, and I'm guessing other points of interest like other Bethesda games. Now, like I mentioned before, whenever you explore a new planet, you could scan the
بس اعتقد في مجال يضيفوه بالمستقبل مع الابديتس، يعني اكيد لانه اللاعبين ما راح يحبوا هذا الشيء، راح يتذمروا كثير، راح تشوف.
flora, the fauna, and scanning or surveying an entire planet will give you a ton of credits. And I'm also guessing whenever you get to a planet, there's going to be an NPC that will require you to scan a planet for something in particular, which will give you money and EXP. Now, this is very similar to the No Man's Sky gameplay loop. I just hope that it has more purpose. Now, I'm not saying like an NPC should always ask you to do that. I don't want it to be a Preston Garvey situation where they're like, hey, thank you for doing that, but there's a new planet that you have to scan. Go to that planet and scan it and then come back and get money. Now, on the planets that have creatures on them, there's both hostile and passive creatures. Now, some of the hostile creatures can attack and kill the passive ones. Todd Howard then said that that was a problem that the team had to try to resolve, as there was higher level hostile creatures. They were killing all of the non-hostile ones, which basically killed all of the other creatures on the planet. If you've ever played Ark Survival Evolved, this is a similar concept where if there's a predator and there's another passive creature, then the predator will just go buck wild and start killing anything in its path. I actually love the fact that
يعني راح يكون في حيوانات متعددة، وبعد منهم راح يكونوا مفترسين، فالمفترسين هذول راح يقتلوا او يفترسوا الحيوانات الثانية الصغيرة مثل الارك، وهذا بيقول انه بيشكل مشكلة، يعني ما راح تلقى هذوك الفرائس، الحيوانات الصغيرة اللي بيفترسوها ما راح تلقاها يعني احيانا، لانه في ارك، انا لعبت ارك احيانا بتكون تبي شيء عشان تسوي له تيمين يعني، وما بتلقاه لانه بيكون في مكان فيه سباينو او رابترز او شيء فبيقتلوه.
there's going to be predators on some planets, and I really hope that some mod developer decides to create a taming ability that allows you to tame different creatures. I would love that. So some modder, if you're listening to this, make it happen. Now, moving on to companions as well as outposts and stuff. If you want to play this game solo,
مو راح تكون نسخة PS5 بس راح يكون في نسخة محسنة على Unreal Engine 5. يب اكيد راح تكون على
companion management system, so you can assign them to any
يعني
ship or outpost, and you could also dismiss
ما راح
them,
تكون
which I'm guessing
exclusive
just means
للPS5.
shoot them in the face if they're not pivotal to the game's story. Now, one thing that we learned in the Starfield Direct was that romance options are present in the game, but we got some further clarification from Todd Howard as they're only limited to the 4 companions in Constellation. Next up, the game has multiple robot companions. Currently, we only know about Vasco, and Todd said you could technically crew your ship with just robots, but he doesn't want to oversell that aspect, which likely means that you can have Vasco as well as the other robots that are in the game to be in your crew, but there isn't a robot for every aspect of the ship, which I kind of expected that. I'm guessing he means that if you only have Vasco and another robot, then your entire crew would just be robots. Now, from the direct, we learned that we could dock to an enemy ship and steal the ship, but in order to make edits and call it at any time that you want, you will have to
تعديل على
register
الشip
it. From
كثير
that point, you have
خرافي،
access to
تقدر
call the
تبني
ship
أي
whenever
شيء
you
تبيه.
want and access to the ship editor. Todd then confirmed that every ship in the game was built using the ship editor, which I think is super awesome. It just shows how robust that system is. But does that mean giant ships like the UC Vigilance were also built with the ship editor? And can we build ships at that scale? It kind of sounds like it if that's what they're saying. Todd then later explained that shipbuilding was an in-game activity. He said you can't jump into the game and immediately start building and upgrading a ship to your liking, as it will cost a lot of credits and skills to upgrade and customize. Now, the host of Kinda Funny's Xcast asked the question if the game will have radios, citing that one of his favorite things about Fallout is the different radios that are in the game. Todd then confirmed that the game does have a radio, but it's local to one location. My guess is that's the anything goes place of Neon, but it could also be New Atlantis. It's hard to say. Now, as we learned from the direct as well as all the leaks back in 2018, you could build your own outpost in Starfield. This was an option in Fallout 4 that wasn't really nearly that in depth, but they took that
يا فالا فور كان فيها تقدر تسوي اوتبوست تبعك، بس مثل ما قال ما كان اندث، يعني ما كان شي كثير متعمقين فيه، يعني كان هيك بيسكس وبس. البيس بيلدينج في نوما سكاي كثير حلو. مدري اذا راح يكون يعني النظام تبع ستارفيلد متوسع هيك ولا بس بيسكس كمان.
and started building upon it. Todd Howard said that outposts are a deep system.
deep system. اوكي. يعني سيستم متوسع
require resources, character skills to build a big outpost, but you can also connect an outpost between planets with your ships and your crews. Todd Howard said that this system is not meant for early game either. Now, in an outpost, you can set up an auto resource mining and farming setup. This will grant you passive resources for gathering materials and other things that the planet has to offer. You can set up trade routes to sell the resources. So outposts really are an economy generator. Next up, Todd Howard gave us an update regarding the game's performance and the technical aspects. He said he was super happy with the Creation Engine 2, and he gave a shout out to all of the engineers, as it took them a really long time to make.
يب اهم شي في التريبل اي جيمز هو الاوبتمايزيشن. يعني الجيمز هذول لما ينزلوا على البي سي الاوبتمايزيشنز تبعهم غالبا بتكون مثل الشت، يعني بيكون عندك RTX 4080 يا اخي، وبيكون في ستاتر والاف بي اس تنزل، وان شاء الله اوبتمايزيشن بيشتغلوا عليها يعني 10 سنوات يا اخي، 10 سنوات في الميكين.
Make this engine. He said that they really pushed the boundaries in terms of the tech. He talked about systems not shown with volumetric fog, which interacts with the global illumination lighting, which I think really does show. The game looks amazing compared to what it looked like last year and even earlier screenshots than that. So I can't wait to see how it looks on my PC. Now, another small note.
يعني أنا كنت متابع والله الجيم آخر فيديو يعني وروه حسنوا كثير حتى في الكومبو.
He then said that Creation Engine 2 has a ton of new tech for physics and gravity changes that they were able to lean in on. As we saw from the trailers, the gravity can be toggled on and off at a moment's notice, which adds a new dynamic to the gameplay. Todd then gave a massive props to the team at Digital Foundry for their coverage and explanation on why Starfield is only going to be 30 FPS on console, which if you guys didn't know, they basically summed it up by saying Starfield will have a CPU bottleneck, object localization and real-time simulation is a big hog to the CPU, which is why they had to lock it. And it's not a situation of just
بس مع ذلك يا اخي احنا الان في الكورنت جن ولسه 30 اف بي اس، خلاص لازم يخلوها للبي اس 4 والبي اس 3. الان لازم 60 اف بي اس وفوق، حتى انهم خلص شيل خيار ال 30 اف بي اس. يعني بحس كنا خلاص بدينا نروح في هذا المسار، بس الان عم نرجع. يعني الان فاينل فانتسي، ستارفيلد، جاثم نايتس، مدري والله.
Just lowering the resolution equals more frames, mainly because it's a CPU bottleneck. And Todd reconfirmed that they're focused on making the game feel great. So I look forward to playing it on Series X. And like I said in my last video, I've never played a console BGS game above 30. Granted, I have played BGS games above 30 on my PC, which I plan to do for this game. Now, as you guys know, a game like Starfield has a ton of secrets, but there is one major secret that we have to discuss. The question was posed to Todd Howard during the Xcast interview, and that was, will Starfield have black holes? To which he immediately declined to answer. I'll be going over some story.
سألوا تاد هاورد إلا راح يكون في بلاك هولز بالجيم اوف. أنا كثير بحب البلاك هولز، يا ليت يكون في بلاك هولز. ضافوهم في نوما سكاي، يعني ما كان عندهم purpose أو شيء، بس إن شاء الله البلاك هولز هنا يكون عندهم هيك، يعني يكون عندهم purpose. فهمت كيف؟ يعني إذا ندخل نستكشف البلاك هول، أو إذا دخلت في بلاك هول طلعك في سيستم ثاني ما بتعرف عنه، يعني هيك اشياء.
Discussions in here that could contain spoilers. I might be guessing the right way, so skip to the next chapter if you don't want to hear about any potential story spoilers. Now, if you watched my previous video, you know I
اوكي ما نبي سبويلرز صراحة.
reaction. The next thing that I want to talk about is the fact that Starfield is going to be a modder's paradise. Now those aren't my words, by the way. That's coming directly from the horse's mouth himself, Todd Howard.
هذا الحلو في الالعاب تبع باثيزدا، يعني الجيم بتنزل بعد سنة خلاص بتصير جيم مختلفة. المودات اللي بتنزل، المودات بتحسن من الجيم، بتغير من السيستم تبع الجيم. يعني تقدر تسوي مثلا سكايريم، فالاوت، هذول المودات كوميونيتي تبعهم يعني جيم بتصير جيم مختلفة. فأكيد حيكون نفس الشيء بالنسبة لستارفيلد.
One of my favorite aspects of Bethesda Game Studios video games is their support towards the modding community. Unlike other publishers and developers that react negatively to modding, hey, I'm looking at you, Nintendo, it's reassuring to know that Starfield will have the same support for mods as the previous titles. That will also mean that Starfield will likely get Creation Club support. Now, there's no word on whether or not that support will be at launch, but I assume it will be, seeing as Todd said that they will be involved supporting mods. It's hard to say if they will jump out of the gate with paid mods at launch, but with the potential smear campaign that could follow, it might be better off to hold off the Creation Club integration until a bit after the game's released. But only time will tell. Either way, I can't wait to see all of the wild mods this game will provide, because I anticipate there will be some new planets and systems created by modders, which is practically an infinite amount of content we could look forward to. The last thing that I want to talk briefly about is straight out of the Microsoft versus FTC hearing, and that is, according to Phil Spencer, Starfield had early discussions of being a console exclusive to PS5. Phil Spencer said with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo starting off as exclusive to PlayStation 5, in order to prevent Sony from buying exclusivity, they decided to just buy the entire company. Talk about a Bruce Wayne move. Now, I don't want this to turn into a console preference discussion, but there is a real possibility that if Microsoft didn't purchase Bethesda, or ZeniMax rather, that Starfield could have been exclusive to the PlayStation 5 and skipped the Xbox ecosystem and even the PC entirely. So as a massive fan of modding and BGS games on the PC,
صراحة أنا كثير بحب سوني، يعني كثير بحب البلاي ستيشن. أنا فان تبع سوني، يعني ما عندي إكس بوكس، كان عندي إكس بوكس 360 بس بعدها خلاص بلاي ستيشن بلاي ستيشن بلاي ستيشن. بس ستارفيلد معه حق، لو كانت أخذتها سوني كانت راح تكون على بلاي ستيشن 5 وإكسكلوسيف، وباي باي للمودز. الحلو في مايكروسوفت ألعابهم بتكون على الإكس بوكس على البي سي، يعني ستارفيلد كل ألعاب باثيزدا لازم يكونوا على البي سي صراحة، لأنه المودز بيخلوها جيم أفضل بكثير.
Personally relieved. But yeah, guys, that's gonna wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. If you've enjoyed my coverage on Starfield, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on. Also, at 120k subscribers, I'll be picking the winner for the PS5 giveaway. We're about 700 subscribers away from that.
هلعبها أول ما
So
تنزل إن شاء الله.
comment for those details. Thanks again for watching. This has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys in the next
video.